Good evening, I'm Bill Hemmer, and tonight for Brett Baer. The fate of President Trump's immigration order is now in the hands of 3 judges in San Francisco. A decision from that panel is expected quickly, perhaps within hours. But the eventual decision is likely headed for the highest court in the country. So then, where are we at the moment? Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight from the North Lawn. And John, good evening to you.
Bill, good evening to you. I'm looking at the just filed brief that the White House has filed with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The argument they make is that the executive order is a lawful exercise of the president's authority over the entry of aliens into the United States and the admission of refugees. The president is determined to have his extreme vetting executive order reinstated and is confident that even in the notoriously liberal Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, his argument will win the day. In its appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court in San Francisco, the Justice Department argues that the president acted within his constitutional statutory powers in implementing the immigration ban, and that because the measure is only temporary, he was well within his authority to do it. Judge Andrew Napolitano believes the president is on a solid legal footing under the statute.
It specifically grants to the president the authority to suspend the immigration status of any person, class of people, or group of people based upon the president's judgment alone that their immigration might adversely affect public health, public safety, or national security. And that's what President Trump has done.
The attorneys general of Washington State and Minnesota, who filed the suit in Seattle's federal district court, argue that lifting the restraining order against the extreme vetting program would, quote, unleash chaos again and inflict harm on certain individuals, separating families, stranding our university students and faculty, and barring travel. 16 other Democratic attorneys general today threw their support behind them. And they were joined by former secretaries of state Madeleine Albright and John Kerry, former CIA directors Michael Hayden and Michael Morrell, and others who wrote that reinstating the travel ban could, quote, do long-term damage to our national security and foreign policy interests, endangering U.S. troops in the field and disrupting counterterrorism and national security partnerships. At CENTCOM headquarters in Florida today, the nexus in the fight against terror, there was enthusiastic support for the president's plan.
We need strong programs so that people that love us and want to love our country and will end up loving our country are allowed in, not people that want to destroy us and destroy our country.
There was also plenty of support for President Trump's order to review military readiness, particularly his pledge to give the military the tools it needs to fight terrorism and other enemies across the globe. But the president ran into a buzzsaw of criticism over comments he made about Vladimir Putin on Sunday in his pre-Super Bowl interview.
He's a killer, though.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We've got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent? Do you think our country's so innocent?
I don't know of any government leaders that are killers.
Well, take a look at what we've done, too. We've made a lot of mistakes.
Democrats, even some Republicans, saw that as drawing a moral equivalency between Russia and the United States. Senator Marco Rubio tweeted, when has a Democratic political activist been poisoned by the GOP or vice versa? We are not the same as #Putin. And this from Nebraska Senator Ben Sass.
There is no moral equivalency between the United States of America, the greatest freedom-loving nation in the history of the world, and the murderous thugs that are in Putin's defense of his cronyism.
The president is walking a fine diplomatic line with Vladimir Putin, hoping to engage his help in the fight against ISIS. And while the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals could possibly rule tonight on the extreme vetting executive order, the White House bill is not expecting a decision until at least sometime tomorrow.
We await on that. Thank you, John Roberts from the White House tonight.